Welcome to the Inner Athlete Podcast, where we discuss all things youth athlete development and youth mentoring.
How you doing?
Good, mate. How you going?
Not too bad.
Not too bad. Good to hear.
Yeah, no, things are going pretty swell lately.
Good to hear.
Weather's getting warmer.
Yeah.
Boxing's going good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Good. Good to hear.
Yeah, sweet. All right, let's crack into it. What are we talking about today?
So yeah, we're going to rehash our swimming podcast that we did last week, or last season, I guess we'll talk about. So last time we sort of spoke about what we were planning to do leading up to states and nationals, and now we want to give you a bit more detailed breakdown as well as sort of the results that we saw, which there was plenty of good ones, so plenty to talk about today.
Yeah, well, let's get into the results side because that's the whole point of training, to get results.
Yeah.
What were they?
So I think from our 7 swimmers that we had there, I think it was 39 PBs across both weekends of state, so age states and open states, which is really, really promising to see, really exciting to see. And some breakdowns of PBs that have been long time coming. I know have been frustrating for some of the swimmers there, so taking a while to get those PBs, which was good to see. And then I guess Holly as well. So I had Holly make nationals, came first for butterfly and freestyle for 50 meters.
She came at nationals.
Yeah, for age.
I think she came third in the 100 free.
Yeah, first for butterfly.
Yeah, first for butterfly.
Yeah,
so
okay.
we're national champ.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, shout out Holly.
Shout out Holly.
Then we had quite a few just missed out.
Yeah, national times. Yeah, by literally milliseconds.
Yeah, but I think it was like 2 tenths.
Yeah, so again, it's exciting for them because they've had like 2 years off national competitions with all the COVID sort of stuff going on. So they've been able to develop a lot, and yeah, promising to see that they're right there, right in the mix. Yeah.
No, we're really proud of them and
Yeah.
of what they've been able to achieve, and some of them had some bit of adversity.
Yeah, I mean, for most of the athletes we had working during this period, I think all of them had at least one setback that they had to overcome. So, yeah, it's big on them to be able to overcome those hurdles, and then testament to all the work that they're putting in the pool, and then also with us here in the gym and at home, just ensuring that they're ready to go on race days and race meets.
Yeah, that's good. Well, let's get into the secret sauce. What do we actually do with them in terms of the lead up?
Yeah, so I think the big breakdown of the whole structure of the program. So yeah, starting as general as we can. So starting with a 1x20 formula, moving to 1x15 if necessary. Again, just being able to build more strength. Then going into some power circuits and strength endurance circuits, and then finishing up with power training. So leading into that performance, into the state competitions there. And I think the main thing, we'll give a bit more breakdown of that.
But yeah, with the athletes, because I know swimming is quite an interesting sport. Everyone has their own individual needs, and we had to address all the athletes with their individual needs. I know with Holly and Hannah, they struggled to feel their lats when they're swimming or when they're in the gym, doing a lot of pull work, pulling exercises. So we ended up just modifying, and I know how we stumbled across this, and it was literally by chance. By Holly said, when she was using a snorkel, when she was in the pool, she could feel her lats a lot more. I was like, all right, cool, let's try and replicate that in the gym. And it actually paid dividends that she could feel her lats a lot more. And then I think Hannah had a similar situation where she couldn't feel her lats and implemented that, and then she was able to feel her lats a lot more.
Yeah. So I think, I guess as a coach, the lesson to be learned there is just listening to athletes, and there is often a answer that's hidden within their own sports, and the athletes sort of know themselves, and they might not know how to express the answer. Because a lot of situations it's easy to say, okay, you're not feeling your lats, okay, let's just skip it out, or let's just keep doing it mindlessly. But yeah, making those slight modifications to the individual really paid dividends, like you say.
Yeah. Then what happened with Hannah and her backstroke?
Yeah, so Hannah was struggling or felt very weak in her backstroke catch. So the period when she was, her hand was coming back into the water, felt, I guess, very weak in that rotated position with her shoulder, and didn't have much power when she was going through the pulling phase. So yeah, again, just I guess addressing that specific position in her warm-up and including that as an exercise, and being able to I guess get as sport specific as we can without making them swim with weights in their hands. We're able to, I guess, really address that position in her stroke. So yeah.
Then she got a PB for 100 back.
Yeah, which is good to see.
Yeah. And I know Shiloh and Lockie have had some shoulder issues in the past, and we addressed that, and we got them doing some lower trap work specifically. It does help with the assist with the upward rotation of the shoulder blade, and usually it's at the top position before they pull through is when they feel like a bit of a pinching sensation, and I think that started to clear up with them.
Yeah, and again, just working in the opposite motion that they're used to, obviously always pulling downwards, so then working, I guess, the pulling and the upward phase of the motion just sort of helps to counteract that imbalance in the shoulder there. Yeah.
Then we had Amber, just improving her range of motion and hand strength. I think, Amber is one of the para swimmers here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she is our only para swimmer here, I should say. But for her, increasing her range of motion and capacity
in her ankle,
specifically has been something we've been addressing, and we've got plans for her in the next couple training blocks for her to address other areas that we've identified together. And with her, then we had Jess. We tried something a little bit different with the breaststroke. She said she just couldn't get her feet out enough. She does have like the build for breaststroke as well, just weight based on the mechanics. And inadvertently, we actually did like a frog. So for those who don't know, it's kind of like a frog pose position, and we kind of got her moving just from the hip joint to try and externally and internally rotate the hips more, which is kind of like bringing the legs out and in together. And she felt like that was the strongest leg in the IM, and now she feels like she wants to do more breaststroke, and I'm like, all right, cool. You got to do that in training now. Now you've got more mobility, but also strength at that more extreme range of motion.
Yeah, because she's obviously a very strong athlete, pound for pound. She's one of the stronger athletes here, and has worked very hard in the gym. But like you say, now she's able to properly use that strength that she's been able to gain and harness here in her actual swim stroke. So just sort of unlocking that door for her has been key.
And then as we harped on before, everyone's had at least one setback with us. Some sort of pain, fatigue, camps, school camps, illness. There's been something.
And just the general workload. Like we say, they've had 2 years off and then had very disrupted pre-seasons, off-seasons, and competition periods leading up to states and national time. So this is probably their first real genuine block we're about to have with them. Again, coupled with coming back into school in person, full-time, swimming, being able to do swimming full-time, and then strength training full-time. Just that massive workload and I guess increase in physical demand as well as mental demand. I guess saw them having those little sicknesses that leave them out of the gym, or at least having easier sessions just to hold them back a little bit. Just that having to juggle that sort of different environment that they're not specifically used to, especially now they're getting older and be able to perform at a lot higher level. It's been another juggling act as well.
Cool. Let's kind of break down in terms of what we did. So let's start with the 1x20. So what we did is the general formula. It's basically doing one set of 20 repetitions. You may need to do 1 or 2 warm-up sets in order to get up to the working weight for that set. So we did 2 squat patterns, 2 hinge patterns, 3 upper body push, 4 upper body pull, 2 core, and 2 arm exercises with that specifically. So that was everyone followed 1x20, but in terms of the prescription of exercises, it actually slightly varied between them based on some various factors in terms of how long they've been with us, their training age, what they've been exposed to in the past, any limitations we had to know about. Like I know one or two of them have issues with doing trap bar deadlifts, so we kept that out of their program as well. Moving forward.
Yeah, like you're saying, like with the younger athletes or athletes that have just newer to training with us, we're able to leave them on that 1x20 program for a bit longer, and they're able to see just as much success from doing that one specific program, and then making slight adjustments to people who are a bit more experienced, people who are a bit older, they've been with us for a bit longer. We're able to play around with sort of different programming to see some benefits. But I know for our younger swimmer Maddie specifically, she's killing it. Genetic freak, I think, for her age especially. But we could just leave her on the 1x20 program, and her strength's just blowing up, and we're just able to see improvements that way. We don't have to play around with too many specifics right now, which is still quite young.
She's an interesting one because she really just cares about improving. That's her main thing. And she'll just kind of like do what's been prescribed. And she's deadlifting over body weight for 20.
Definitely a head down, get to work sort of person. You just tell her what to do, and she'll do it with very few complaints. She's really good. Great to work with. Great athlete.
Then we transitioned. So we did 1x20 for about 2 blocks.
So I think it depends on the individual again. So 1x20 you can keep on, or change to 1x15 again, increase. Taking 5 reps up, and go up in weight a little bit more. So just sort of judging on the individual. So 2 blocks of 1x20 or 1x15, and then leading into, I guess, some power or strength endurance circuit. So we started with a 30 on 30 off circuit. So the goal there was to get 15 reps within the 30 seconds, so a rep every 2 seconds. If you're able to do that all the rounds, then go up and wait for the next one. Pretty simple formula there. So 10 exercises, so 2 squat patterns, so 1 bilateral, 1 unilateral, 2 upper body pushes, 2 upper body pulls, 2 hinges, and then 1 core movement. Do that for 3 rounds, 10 minutes per round with a 2-minute break in between. And again, that's just the general formula, again, adjusting that based on the individual.
In terms of the exercise prescription, the order we try to do it, the larger the compound exercise, have it at the front end of the program, and then it would go to more supplementary exercises as we moved on. This was the program where we ended up getting some positive feedback in terms of their fitness level in the pool. And this is by about week 3 they start to notice some positive changes in their fitness and are able to keep up pretty well. And I know this is more of a side note, like we use this for a lot of other sports, this program as well.
I mean, it's a bit of a brutal program when you think about it, like 30 on 30 off, 15 reps for 10 exercises. That's it's a really test their work capacity and their endurance to be able to keep that weight up. But I think that's where it's the structuring of the program and the building up is important as well, because you can't do something like this without a base of strength to endure. It's, I guess, paramount that we're starting off with the 1x20 and building that base first before we can start really pushing this sort of endurance and strength endurance. I guess the next phase after that was still sticking to a similar formula. So rather than 30-30, we're going 20-40, so 20 seconds on, 40 seconds rest. Again, the goal here is 10 reps in the 20 seconds, a rep every 2 seconds. Only going with 6 exercises, so 1 squat, 1 hinge, 2 upper body pushes, and 2 upper body pulls. So again, less exercises. We're focusing on more bigger compound movements, big heavy lifts, and go for about 3 to 5 rounds depending on the individual, and a bit more rest.
So the first one, we did like introductory week. We did an introductory week for the 30-30 and 20-40, where they would do 1 less round. a normal. At minimum, it was 30-30. They'll do 3 rounds, as you mentioned. 20-40, we do a minimum of 4 rounds, so we backed off to 3 rounds with that as well.
Yeah.
And they started to get some pretty good results, and it felt like they had a lot more power.
Yeah.
Pulling through the water. I will preface this, though, we weren't neglecting power development as well. So in their warm-up specifically, we're still doing some skill-based power, I guess.
Yeah.
And we'll actually might harp on that in a second.
Yeah, but I guess, like touching on that, like their skill base was, I guess, looking at, specific dive patterns or getting into the same positions that there would be in those starts. That would be all pushing off walls or, so that they're still getting that skill translation from the pool into the gym and sort of using that strength that they're harnessing to still build that power. But yeah, I guess the warm up was a bit more specific to their sport and looking at that development, and then the program started a bit general, and then, as we will touch on in a sec, it's a bit more specific to the individual. Yeah.
Then the next phase we did was power block. Now, the only criticism we got, and then we realised this, we probably did it a week too late in terms of starting it, in terms of really expressing that power. So we know that leading into long course next year, but we've got about 6-7 months really.
Yeah.
So we've got a long time to build, but we will build them up towards the end of the year, and we'll do a power block, and then we'll kind of reset the whole program from there.
Yeah. So I guess, we'll touch on the power block quickly. So looked at 8 sets of 3 reps, so keeping volume high, but able to keep the intensity high as well by decreasing the amount of reps they're doing per set. And then, so 1 lower body and 1 upper body movement focus. So whether it be hang clean, power clean, high pull, wherever the individual is at in their skill level, and then using an upper body movement. So whether it be push press, Viking push press, med ball throw, catch,
like a partner med ball throw, catch and slam.
Again, that's specific to the individual. The type of swim stroke is their preferred, and again, their experience level. So it's just a juggling act in terms of which arsenal of power movements you want to use, and then moving to 2 main supplementary movements, again 1 upper body, 1 lower body, again for about 3 sets of 5 reps. So still focusing on their strength, building that general strength that they've already been working on there, and then finishing off with accessory movements. So again 2 to 3 exercises for 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps. It's really, again, up to individual exercise, up to the individual demands, and areas of concern with each athlete there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, race day.
Yeah.
Or even race week.
Yeah.
So what did we do? What did we do there?
Yeah, so a little, circuit we like to do. So the 48 hours before, or within 48 hours before performance, we like to do a little bit of a potentiation circuit. So 5 to 7 exercises, purely, power based in nature. So duration of exercise goes for about 3 to 7 seconds in duration, and we like to keep the sessions very short, so less than 35 minutes, just getting them in, let them do a nice relaxed warm-up, and then getting through a nice quick power session here.
Yeah, and that's just the whole design of that is to keep the nervous system primed. Now, for those who have played sport throughout their careers, the old philosophy was the day before a game you would rest, do nothing, rest, and all that jazz. So if you're playing on Saturday or racing on Saturday, you rest on Friday.
Yeah.
Now the research and a lot of what the professionals are doing and high level athletes are doing these days, they're actually getting in the gym the day before or even the morning of, if it's a late night match. Like I know a lot of NRL teams will do that, where they'll have like a captain's run where it's just light, short, maybe a little bit of intensity, just a bit more fun.
Yeah.
Same thing with like the swimmers. We want them to make sure that we have their nervous system primed and they're feeling like almost like twitchy when they leave the gym.
Yeah.
When they leave here.
Yeah.
So then we know on race day they're not going to feel slow and sluggish, and that's where most people kind of catch themselves out. They have been told to have a rest the day before, but they feel slow.
Yeah.
is because you kind of use it or lose it, and speed's a quality that you consistently want to train.
Yeah. So I guess, the program would look like a split between lower upper body and whole body movements. So box jumps, broad jumps, reactive benches, reactive rows,
assisted band jumps.
Yeah, banded jumps. So anything overly accelerated to, I guess, we're not trying to tax them in any means. We're just trying to keep them moving as fast as we can, as powerful as we can, by limiting as much fatigue as possible. So 5 to 7 exercises. So EMOM. So do that every minute on the minute. So start of the minute, complete your rep or the series of reps, and then rest for about 50 seconds is the goal there. And doing that for about 5 to 6 rounds, depending on how many exercises. So
and the athletes feel fresh and usually feel really good. So that's something we encourage them to do. If they're on the road or in a different state, then they'll do something similar. Depending on what they've got access to.
So I guess we'll touch on some nutrition strategies and different strategies we tried to play around with some of the athletes. So I know for one of our swimmers, Holly, working with her nutritionist, trying some caffeine supplementations with her was just with Coca-Cola, to play around and see how that affected her. So we know caffeine can benefit and boost performance, but we found with this individual that sort of had a detrimental effect. So I think maybe it was just the form of caffeine that they chose to use. They're not used to carbonation. They don't normally drink soft drinks themselves, so having that on race day didn't really benefit her at all. If anything, it took away from performance.
It took her attention away from what she should be doing.
And I don't know, she was too focused on what's going on with the supplementary side of things, just adding to the performance. But we know that didn't really work with her. So definitely something we'll try in the future still. Maybe not with caffeine specifically, but maybe just, I don't know, some gels or some high sugar sources to add as that energy boost rather than the carbonation side. I think was the main detriment there.
Yeah, we can play around with it and see what options or see what foods and that she likes. She might like dark chocolate. And well, we can find chocolate with a high amount of caffeine, and I would just go with that.
Yeah. And then I guess the other main strategy we looked at was carb loading. So for a lot of the athletes, they were already doing some form of this. They just weren't, aware that that's what they were doing. So a lot of the athletes were already, a lot of swimmers were already eating more food 2 to 3 days out before competitions, and especially bigger weekend competitions. But again, just looking at the specific food that they're eating, so making sure they're eating more carbs, lower GI carbs, further away from competition, and then preferencing high GI carbs, high sugar foods the day of or in between races, just to keep their energy fuels high, so they've got enough carbohydrates to use.
Yeah, because we noticed that when the kids didn't, or when the athletes didn't carb properly, they noticed, because if swimming's over a 2-3 day window of the states, nationals is over like 5 days, I believe. But the first day they might be feeling pretty good, then they might be absolutely just drained by day 2 or even day 3 as well, especially with like the changes and fluctuations in the environment that they're in as well, and that plays some level in terms of tapping into the energy stores. That's why we really preface, depending on who they are, we might have to do it 3 days out specifically. So if they're starting racing on Thursday or Friday, so we're gonna have to go back to all the way to Tuesday to start them carbing up, because they may not be large eaters, so we have to slowly increase it.
And the days are just so draining. I know one athlete, Shiloh, I forget what race day it was now, but one of her races was early in the morning, and then it wasn't too late afternoon that her second race was. So she had to hang around there the whole day, tried to have a nap. It was too loud, too much going on. So again, you're mentally drained there. You physically got to amp yourself up for the race. Got to be high energy for your race, and then you got to relax yourself, calm yourself down all the way back down. So nutrition and making sure that you're getting the right foods on race day as well is very important, especially for the swimmers there, because they've got 6 hours sometimes in between their races, and if they can't go home, then there's no real time to relax and wind yourself down there.
Yeah, so the feedback from the swimmers, we learned a lot as coaches. I know the athletes did about themselves in terms of the preparation, but what were like the key points?
Yeah, well, I guess the main thing is they said they felt good, they felt prepared, and they felt ready for competitions, which was promising from our side of things, that we're on the right track and what we're doing is working. Again, we seem to address most of the concerns and I guess weak points of the athletes, so going into the performances, so they felt confident on that side of things, that they were ready for the race day. And then I think the biggest takeaway from our programming was the circuits. I think the athletes felt the most powerful, the most fit aerobically or strength endurance wise, that out of all the stuff we sort of worked on, out of all the programs. I think that's a big plus for us. That's a tool we'll definitely use again in the future for the next time around. And yeah, I guess like we touched on before, the one negative, the one negative that we sort of came away with from this block was the transition from the circuits to power was very rushed, and sort of lack of time to be able to properly implement that. We would have liked a week off prior implementing the power training, and then be able to do a full block of power training, but just from lack of time we had to sort of put them right back to back, and that's where we saw a bit of the overworking coming in. They were going through high periods of stress and a lot of physical training when they were training in the pools there, and then we've crushed them in the gym with the power circuits, which they felt great from, but then we're trying to get them moving heavy weight as fast as they can, and it just wasn't responding as well as we'd like.
Yeah, so I think for us that's probably the biggest learning lesson here, is just give the power side a bit more time in that perspective, but to still come away with 39 PBs from 7 swimmers, and I can't really...
Yeah.
It's still pretty good. Good progress with that. So what's next?
So we just almost week 2 or week 3 now into the long course off season. So I don't think the main competitions. The season starts October, but I think the main competitions in terms of states and nationals is until March or something like that, or end of March, start of April, sometime around then. So. The positive for us is we've got a lot of time to work with athletes and a lot of time to play around with different strategies that might work for them on race days and in the different competitions leading up. So we've already begun on the next 1x20 block for a lot of them. I think the plan here is a bit different to what we've done in the past, sort of not leaving them on the same program for the full month that we normally sort of work with, the 4-week formula.
Yeah, the reason why we're doing that is because it's a long period.
Yeah. So I guess just reduce that monotony a little bit. So keeping them on 3-week sort of blocks in the 1x20, 1x15, 2x10 power circuits. The strength circuits again, with the 30, and then 20-40, and then we've got a lot more time to play around with the power circuits there at the end, which is good.
Yeah, so it's almost like we're trying to do like a build up to the end of the year when their comps would start. The main comps start in Jan, start getting some qualifying times and see where they're at. Then obviously just lead up into states, which is in March, April next year.
And for one of our athletes, Mia, it's a starting of a rehab process that hopefully will end up in national competition, but we'll see. Yeah,
well, she's already... It's more just getting her back healthy than anything else. So, Mia suffered a meniscal tear. It was when they had the surgery, it was a lot worse than they thought. They thought the recovery time was going to be more prolonged because of the damage, but the surgery went well. She's actually moving quite nicely. She's about 2 weeks post, not 2 weeks, 2 months post-op. So she's basically back to normal function. No running as of yet. Obviously, she's a swimmer, not a runner.
Yeah, this is her first week of squats.
Yeah.
Or first week of lower body movement.
Yeah, first week of lower body movement, so a lot of hinging.
Yeah.
Her knee has pulled up a little bit sore from time to time, just with swelling.
Yeah.
Just exposing it. So we're still trying to. I think we figured out the right amount of volume.
Yeah.
For her pretty quickly, based on how she's responding and whatnot. Or it doesn't help when you have a little, like, if someone pushes you over or something like that. That doesn't help, obviously.
Yeah.
But no, she's on the right path at the moment. She's actually relatively strong, and because she has always had strong legs, it gives us more an opportunity to focus on her upper body. So I guess it's kind of another lesson within itself is when your strengths become your weaknesses, it gives you an opportunity to work on your previous weaknesses in order to actually bring them up as well, based on your situation of where you are.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that covers most things we want to talk about.
No, well, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Easy.
We'll wrap that up. Make sure you subscribe, like the video, like YouTube, Spotify. They're the main channels that you can find us on. If you want to follow us for more content on this type of stuff,
Athlete on Facebook,
and Instagram,
and all your socials. But yeah,
they're the main ones.
Easy.
Other than that, till next time.
Easy. See you guys.
You have just listened to the Inner Athlete podcast. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with the release of weekly episodes. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram to get great tips on all things youth athlete development and youth mentoring.